And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog here with breakdown number 2 on the week. It is the Bellator breakdown here. Just me today. I see Bunny's here in the chat. Greatest betting show to ever grace MMA. I don't know about that, but I appreciate the love. Just going to be me the rest of the week here. Lewis had a personal issue come up. He had a loss in his life, and so he's going to take a couple days, step away from breaking down fights, and just send your love out to Lewis. That's all I'm going to say. I'll respect his privacy right now, but appreciate you, Lewis. Northern MMA will return. But for the rest of the week, it's going to be me, it looks like. So we got the Bellator breakdown to go, and then the UFC breakdown show, most likely tomorrow. So thanks for joining me. I kind of just decided to do this impromptu. I'll do my best to go into details with the fights I feel deserve it. Is a good Bellator show. Honestly, I really love it. Top to bottom, to be honest. I just got this information from Lewis. I maybe shouldn't have gone live. I feel kind of bad. So I just decided to go into MMA here. But yeah, I mean, Jaylen Bates is on the card here. One of my favorite prospects in all of MMA, as everybody who listens to this channel all knows. Roman Feraldo, Romero Cotton, and Dalton Rosta. Top to bottom, Davion Franklin. Tons of great fighters, top to bottom on this card. Usman Magomedov. Yeah, I'm just going to jump into it here. Let's do this. Let's, do some justice for Northern MMA here. And Friday, July 22nd, Bellator back on Friday here. I like that, 7 p.m. Showtime as well. Or as usual, I should say. Going to start at the bottom with a newcomer. It's a catchweight fight here, but a guy I am familiar with. Actually, he's not a newcomer. He's a returner. And Archie Colgan taking on Brian Neuro, the newcomer here. So let's go ahead and break this one down. Archie making his return to Bellator. Good wrestler, very athletic guy, but go into Brian here first. 8-4, 34 years old. Impact Jiu-Jitsu 5'10". Normally a lightweight. Archie normally a 170er. They met at 160 here. Yeah, Brian, he's okay. Was able to watch a little bit of tape on him. Probably 155 his last fight. It was a loss, however, to Keanu Diggs. And it was in 2019. Carson Fry, the other loss. Both those guys are very good level of opponents. His last win was Sharon Spain, a 15-24 fighter. He had to go into the third round before getting the finish. His last 3 losses, Julian Erosa, Carson Fry, and Keanu Diggs. Was on submission underground a few times. Fun to watch there. Good grappler. Getting ready to fight Sharon Spain again in August, apparently. Lost to Cody Steele by heel hook. No shame at all in any of those. But overall, filling game, good win there. For sure. It was a split decision back in 2016. But other than that, not a huge notable record here. Mostly a grappler, of course. Stand-up is so-so. Archie, the more athletic guy, more known as kind of a wrestler, I would say, out of Denver, Colorado. So he's going to have good cardio. Hopefully, he has good cardio at University of Wyoming, 7-0. Going back to his amateur career, 4-0 as a pro, LFA, Bellator, Eagle FC. All high-level promotions, has increased the level of competition in his last couple. Ben Simmons was on Bellator, then Dylan Montello, who was 4-1 with Eagle. Went to a decision there. Supposed to fight Justin Maltavo. Obviously, it was going to be a better fight. I hope they rebook that because I do think Archie has a pretty easy time here in his debut against Brian. I just think he's a better wrestler, better overall athlete. Here he's going to be the bigger guy as well. I would not expect Archie to get you a lot of play once that becomes available. I'd guess it would be a bottom minus 400. No line currently available on that fight. So we will go on to the next one. And it's my boy, Jaylen Bates, new breed. I love this kid. Some criticism could be he's being brought along a little too easily, but I'm going with a huge parlay on this card. Yeah, this is a parlay. This is a Bellator parlay card. And speaking of parlays, Archie, you can throw him on there at his price. Throw on Jaylen Bates, obviously. I'm going with Jaylen Bates here. The level of competition will be increasing soon, and we'll not be seeing these minus 500 type of lines too much longer. But taking on Marky Mark here, Mark Coates, 10-7, 5'8", 26 years old, coming off of a win at least. So there's that of Rafael Montini. Rafael Montini, a somewhat known commodity. He's been around, faced a lot of good guys. Definitely a finish of him is impressive, even if he is 6-5. Before that, losing 3 straight fights, 2 by decision. One of them was being a split, and then also having a retiring in the last fight against Adam Azensa in 2019 in June. I believe he had a shoulder injury. Also, he had a loss to Sharon Spain at 13-22 with Thunder and Lightning MMA. I get it was in 2017, but that's a red flag right there. I'm not going to go too much more into that side. If you don't know Jaylen Bates, you haven't been watching Bellator. But yeah, he's coming along slowly. I'll give him that, but he's 5-0. Overall, 14 straight wins going back to his amateur career, though. Only 25 years old. You look at the amateur record, all the finishes. There are 2 decisions along the way, but mostly finishes. Particularly good grappler, but also working on the striking. Since being in the pros, it's been the grappling. Jeffrey Glossner, a good striker. He went to the grappling, made it look really easy. Same with Cody Matthews, Rafael Montini. Also went on his record. First round armbar as opposed to a decision. Chris Dissanel, very good test in the last fight, but passed it with flying colors. For me, Marky Marks doesn't, pose too much of a threat here. I want to see Jaylen continue to kind of push his stand-up a little more, but should be able to get this fight wherever he wants and get it to the ground eventually, most likely. But, Jaylen Bates, definitely going to be my pick here. Unfortunately, the line has moved up to minus 650 now on Jaylen. So he's in those long parlays, but that's about it. I do think he gets the finish in this one on Mark Coates. Next fight, another very, very intriguing prospect. Not exactly being tested as tough in this one as I anticipated, though. I'm being honest. Ramon Feraldo, the man of the 2 flying knees, beautiful flying knee knockouts, and just overall very exciting guy. Vicious is his nickname. Key West, Florida, 29 years old, taking on the 36-year-old Sicario, 23, Luis Inguiguez. 5-1 he is. He's a little more advanced in his career, but a good long guy out of American Top Team here, 6-1, coming off of a split decision of a good fighter in Albert Todd Zopian in his last fight back in April, staying active, had a fight in July of last year against Tony Murphy, getting the knockout in the 3rd round. Went into boxing for a little bit, didn't have too much success there, took on Harris Tolunzik back in LFA 102, went to a decision there. We've seen how well Harris has done, but good level of, competition that he's lost to there with Harris, and he's beat a decent guy in his last one, but it was by a split, pretty close one. It was at middleweight. This is at welterweight. Roman Feraldo going to have a big advantage, I think, in this fight, particularly in the striking. Both guys are big guys, coming off a jab and ground and pound finish of Kelvin Rayford in the last fight. Overall, you put someone in front of him, he's knocking him out. Pat Casey, Trevor Goody, Robert Turnquest, and Kelvin Rayford. Some of those guys really posing some grappling threats, not really affecting Ramon. Ramon's going to roll in this one, and it's another expensive tag here. But I just think that Luis overall, his route to victory is definitely going to be, to kind of just be able to catch Ramon as he's, kind of in the pocket. And so far, we have not seen that be the issue. Doesn't seem like the grappling should be much of a threat here. Should be an interesting one. Minus 700, though, again, on Roman Feraldo, plus 475 on the underdog and Luis Inguiguez. Next fight, 155, Gazi Rabanov taking on a guy I've really really respect Bobby King, who, used to be hard to find Bobby King highlights. It's getting a little easier because he's, putting a little bit of a name, separating himself from Bobby Green, I should say. But I really like what I've been seeing out of Bobby King lately. I think this is a fantastic fight. I think this is one of the closer fights actually on the card. But we'll see. 17-4-2, Godsey here, 29 years old, taking on the 38-year-old out of Utah, Bobby King. But I'll tell you, he does not look to be slowing down to me at all. 5'9" versus 5'8", similar size there. Bobby King, I'm going to go through his recent record. I've been digging it, no pun intended, as he beat Keanu Diggs in that fight by split decision. The obviously Gonzalez fight, obviously a really impressive performance. Quite Aviv, I should say, quite exposed him in that fight. Very impressive. The Alexander Shabliy fight, Alexander was the better guy, but, it was a competitive fight for sure. This fight does remind me similar of that fight. Bobby King definitely did not fight like a plus 650 in that spot. Keanu Diggs was a split. I did not feel it was a split. I felt Bobby won that fight, really, implemented a good pace. It's surprising how effective his pace and cardio is at 38 and kind of how he's building everything. But, he's just been on fire. He had the, even back the Weston Wilson fight back in LFA, he got my attention. And I was really impressed because Weston was coming into that with a lot of, hype and everything. He was coming off the Fabio Serrao loss. So a lot of people have ripped Bobby King off. The Steven Siler fight with Fierce, I remember a lot of people ripped him off. 4th round finish. It was not a split decision against Newell. So he's had a couple splits that I felt weren't splits. And I do like his style a lot. Gadzi Rabanov has looked fantastic lately, though. Like really, really good. Hitting his stride for sure with Bellator. 3 straight wins, 2 of which coming in Bellator. The finish of Daniel Carey, and then decision over J.J. Wilson. That's big time. Definitely losing to high levels of competition, has a win over Steven Siler as well, albeit not a finish, but still, has that win. Losing to high level guys, one of which being a decision, the other being by submission. I think that, this is a fight where I think the age could play a factor for Bobby. I do think Godsey takes this fight. I think it's similar to the Shabliy fight. I think it's very competitive. I do think Bobby King is going to have his moments. I think he's going to push Godsey a lot. I don't love the price tag on Godsey, needless to say, of minus 300 here. Plus 240 is tempting to sprinkle from a perspective because I think it's going to be a very close fight. I could see this being a split. I could see this being a win for Bobby King. I am going with Godsey ever so slightly, but it's definitely very, very, it's very close. It's very interesting. So I love Bobby King, though. I don't want to say I'm rooting for him, but I'll say it. I'm rooting for him. So go Bobby King, but my pick is going to be Godsey. Most likely no bet at all from me in that spot. Next fight is a fight at featherweight. 2 newcomers here. Just get my timestamp there. Sorry. Thank you guys for bearing with me here. And I apologize for going through these a little quicker, but, with the one-sidedness of some of these and being just in the solo broadcast here, it happens. So I hope that everybody can understand. I hope it's still helpful information for what it is. Another American top team, Portland and Art of War MMA fitness guy, and Kevin Baum here, game time, taking on Ahmed Magomedov, making his way down from lightweight. Kevin Baum here, game time, 27 years old. Great pathology picture, very clearly game time. 3 straight wins for the ATT Portland representative. Last one coming over AJ Bryant by split decision. Before that, beat a debuting Jason Powers, knocked him out in 30 seconds. Majority decision of Anthony Jimenez with KOTC in 2021. Before that, lost to Austin Springer by decision. Had a couple wins over lesser known, but guys and Taylor Hammonds and Jason Gray. Spent a lot of his time with Cage Sport so far in his career. Not the most notable of names, but fairly active since making his debut in 2016, 3 in 2017, 2 in 2018, 3 in 2019, 1 in 2021, 2 in 2022 already. So this is his 3rd fight coming in here, coming off that split in May. Ahmed Magomedov here, 8-0. Dagestan hasn't fought since last August with Bellator, or Brave, I should say, where he had 2 wins by unanimous decision over 2 good level of competition guys. Obviously, with Brave CF, very, very good level of competition here. Going to be his first fight in the States here. So that's definitely something that should be of note here. Kevin is going to be fighting essentially a home fight here. And that's very interesting. It also is his first time down at 145. He had a catch weight in his last fight of 150, 170 catch weight before that. So definitely going to be a bigger guy for that. Fought at lightweight. Most of his, wins typically using his wrestling, sometimes including the submission. But yeah, tends to get his opponent down, keeps his opponent down. I do think Kevin, poses some interesting issues, especially being, the younger and bigger guy here. He could start to frustrate Ahmed on the feet here, but I think Ahmed's going to be too strong in the grappling, most likely. And that probably will be the difference. He'll probably be able to ground him for the most part in this fight. I don't currently have odds on this one. I would anticipate Ahmed being a significant favorite, though. So maybe a possible spoiler here in Kevin Baum game time in front of his home crowd here. 3 straight wins could be an interesting little spot for him here. He is out of Oregon, not out of Washington, but still the Northwest. Stand up here. But we'll see. Should be an interesting one. I'll be interested to see odds coming out on that one as well. Vida Ortega versus Vanessa Porto is the next fight here. This is a decent fight. It's not absolutely incredible by any means, but I like Vida Ortega quite a bit, and I really do respect Vanessa Porto, veteran of a pioneer, I should say. 23-9 versus 6-4. Right away, that stands out to me. 32 fights to 10 fights. 34 versus 38. Vanessa looked in very good shape and good condition in her last fight. Going to be a little bit shorter, but that's about it. Otherwise pretty evenly matched. 23-9 is huge for me. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Drenix Iglesias fight team hasn't fought since last July, where she took on Alara Joan. Went into a split decision. Alara, very good grappler. Kind of similar in some ways to Vida Ortega. Kind of goes in there, not as technical of a brawler, but really gets in there. But before that, had the loss to Liz Carmouche by decision in Bellator. We've seen how Liz has been looking, especially in her Bellator run. Our Invicta run was very, very respectable. Has a win over Roxanne Modafferi back in 2015, but the losses Jennifer Maia and 9-0 Angeliska. I'm not sure what happened with her, but 9-0 at the time was. Also had wins over Mariana Marias, finished Miliana Dudiev, 2 former UFC fighters, Pro Gonzalez and other, Karina Rodriguez, going to a decision with those 2. It's very good, very well-rounded, keeps a very even keel, and also is quite technical. Vida Ortega, she's a bulldog, man. She goes in there and she brings the fight to you from start to finish, pressure. Hasn't fought since last April, where she took on Desiree Yanez. Very, very close fight there. And yeah, absolutely visceral. Sorry, I'm going back and forth between pages here, but yeah, I agree. She's fought everybody. But Vida, she's also fought a very good level of competition, especially in Bellator. I mean, she made her Bellator debut after beating Ashley Dean by split decision, in 2016. And, didn't face a great level at first, lost to Anastasia Yankova, a 3-0 fighter by split early on, lost to Bruna Ellen by split early on, has a win over Emily Ducote. That ages very well. Denise Kielholtz as well, finishing her with that nasty guillotine losses to Ilimar McFarland, former champion, Alejandra Lara, not a great loss there at all. And that is kind of where I'm led to believe that. I believe that Vanessa has the technical skills and IQ here to take advantage of Vida Ortega, use her aggressiveness against her. But Ortega is a dog, man. Ortega loves to play spoiler. This is a spot I expected to be closer odds-wise than it is. So I'm, a little bit surprised here that Porto's the favorite she is. I get she's faced a good level of competition. Minus 300 is way too high. It is a dog or pass situation from a betting perspective here for me. I do believe Vida has the game in her to get a split or a unanimous. She really, pushes a pace. She puts a big pressure on her opponent. Sometimes Vanessa allows the pressure and to come to her in fights. So I wouldn't say this is a minus 300 at all, slam dunk. I'd say the only side worth considering is Vida. And I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth, but I am picking Vanessa Porto from an official pick. But my bet would be Vida or pass, because I think this could end by, and I think it most likely goes to decision. But Vida, has surprised with some, finishing ability in her career. So as Vanessa Porto, so there's not that surefire thing, is what I'm saying. Next fight, this is a fantastic fight. The only problem is you're canceling out one of your prospects here, and someone's has to go. Romero Cotton taking on Dalton Rosta. I like both these guys. I think both these guys are tremendous grapplers. They're both, have the credentials that you look for, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Hercules versus Bad News. I'll be breaking down Dalton Rosta. Hercules first here. 26 years old, 13 straight wins going back to his amateur career. Youngstown State University wrestler, fighting on Matt Factory Wrestling Club. That's what he does. He is a wrestler. He showed that against Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the last fight there. But now he's going up against a fellow wrestler. Before that, Tony Johnson, he could just wrestle. Ty Gorder, you could just wrestle. These guys are primarily strikers with so-so takedown defense. This time, he's going against a guy who has very, very legit takedown defense. Dwayne Johnson looked okay at times, but it was just, you can't keep Dalton off you. Until someone does, you're not going to know what it looks like. But Romero Cotton, a.k.a., he's going to have the wrestling chops here. He's out of Nebraska at Kearney, former wrestler, as you can see, UNK. He had 6-0 as well as a pro, 32 years old, a little older here, coming off of the win of a 5-6 Freddie Sandoval. That came after two cancellations, two canceled bouts. He was supposed to face Dalton back in January, and he had to withdraw from that fight. And then Lance Wright, he was supposed to face, and Lance Wright had to withdraw. So they found Freddie Sandoval late replacement. He went in there, he took him down, grounded him out. Much more finishing ability from Romero's side. Only one decision coming in his Bellator debut, and it was by split. Really interesting fight to go back and watch. But you see since then, getting finishes in all his fights. Justin Sumter probably being the best win within there. But another guy who hasn't faced his fellow high-level wrestlers. So both these guys are going to find out in this fight what it's like to fight a fellow wrestler like themselves. And I think we're going to see a interesting stand-up bout here. And in that case, I make this a pick 'em because I do not favor either side's wrestling here. And Dalton Rosta is a minus 250 favorite. I am going to go with the side of Romero Cotton. I'm just ever so slightly. I think that he has the advantage in the stand-up, and I just believe that the wrestling's going to be canceled out. I think both these guys are high-quality prospects. And what day do I think I'm doing the UFC, Justin? I'm thinking Thursday. I might do it tomorrow. It's been a little bit of a crazy week. And now earlier I mentioned that Lewis of Northern MMA had a personal loss in his life. So he's going to be out the rest of the week. So I'm going solo. So I'm going to try to figure out Wednesday, most likely Thursday, though. Maybe a later show on Thursday. So apologize for the topsy-turvy here. But back to this fight real quick. I think it's a great fight. If it's a pick-em, maybe I'm leaning more towards Dalton. I just don't feel Dalton should be a minus 250 favorite against Romero Cotton in this spot. And I feel both guys wrestling cancels each other out. I like the clinch striking of Romero Cotton a little more, too, and just the overall striking of Romero. So at that price of plus 190 and maybe even rising, I'm going to take a shot on Romero Cotton. He'll be the second dog I'm officially taking on the card against Dalton Rosta. But should be a really interesting and high-quality fight for the prelims to end on. So looking forward to it. This is another really, really interesting fight. There's this middle little section here where I feel one of these two fights, if not both, are going to have a big upset from the odds perspective. Next fight, a heavyweight fight to lead off the main card here between Davion Franklin a guy who I'm a big fan of, fun to watch and respect quite a bit, against Marcelo Gome. And then Justin. Well, hope everything's good with him. Sorry for his loss. Hope all is well with you. And thank you. No problem, Justin. Yeah, and I'll pass on to Lewis the words. He'll, he if he's not able to do a breakdown, he knows something's up. And yeah, I want to just respect my boy. So I'm, thinking about him, and shout out to Lewis as always. So Marcelo Gome, 9-3, really has made a nice return from the UFC run he was on. Pretty classic. Got to UFC maybe a little too soon. Lost to two very, 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 very good wrestlers in Tim Johnson and Arjan Bueller. Both just wrestled and grounded him. Sergey Pavlovich knocked him clean out in 1 minute. Since then, knockout of DJ Linderman. Okay, Brandon Hebert, arm triangle in the second round with XMMA. Okay, it was a late replacement. And then he had three guys pull out of his fight. Rashawn Jackson in April, Lynn Vassell in January, and then Steve Mowry in August before finally getting a fight with Big Sexy Billy Swanson. And now, and then he was supposed to also, he's supposed to also have had Tiller in that. So four guys were supposed to be in there before Billy Swanson. We still finished in the first round. So very, very impressive. What up, Herb Dean? Ole, 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 ole. And yeah, so I mean, Billy Swanson, first of all, not an easy guy to get out of there. We make fun of Billy Big Sexy a lot, but I mean, to have it be your fourth opponent and still really look that good, that composed, and be able to get that finish, 3 straight finishes for him. He's coming into this fight very, very ready. And Davion Franklin, all day Davion. 5-0, 28 years old, 6'3", 80-inch reach. Jackson Winklejohn, 5 straight wins. No amateur career. Been in Bellator his whole career. 3 of 4 finishes. The split decision over Said Salma in his last fight. Very competitive fight there. Quite interesting. And, I was on Said the last fight, and I was a little bit surprised that Davion got the nod in that one. But he did show me quite a bit. Second decision, always good to see. But I really like what I'm seeing on Marcelo Gome here. This was a fight that before I looked at the odds, I anticipated that it was going to be closer to a pick'em than it ended up being. I think Marcelo Gome has the finishing ability. I also think that as this fight goes a little longer, he has the ability to, get the advantage here. So quite surprised at the odds. Minus 250 for Davion Franklin. I get he got knocked out quickly by Sasha Pavlovich, but Sasha Pavlovich, one of the best power strikers in all of MMA, especially in the UFC. And since then, I just haven't quite seen the signs that he's willing to just go stand and exchange. I think his jiu-jitsu is very good. I think he has good cage pressure. The thing in this fight is Davion comes in probably with about a 10-pound advantage in weight. That could be a big factor, but I also think he could wear down a little quicker. So I'm going to take a shot at Marcelo Gome here at plus 200. I like the dog spot here. I like his experience, and just I think he's been looking better and better. Davion 5-0 got out of that Said Salma fight with the nod. I'm not sure he can do it here against Marcelo Gome. So I'm going to take a shot at the underdog. Quick shout out to Kelly. I know I've talked to Kelly about this as well. Kelly also liking that underdog, and Kelly got that Ricky Simone Jack Shore hit last week. So we know a thing or two about dogs. But should be it's heavyweights. Going with a slightly more experienced, quicker, smaller Marcelo Gome here. So it should be an interesting one. They're interesting the rest of the way out. Next fight is at the welterweight division. Lorenz Larkin taking on Mohamed Berkmanov. This is a fantastic fight here. Lorenz Larkin, the Monsoon, now 35, nearly 36 years old, making his way back down to the welterweight division, which is, I think, where he belongs at this stage in his career. 5'11", 72.5-inch reach, going against the 6 foot, 73-inch reach of Mohamed Berkmanov. Here, 15-1, 7 straight wins for him, coming off a really impressive finish of Jaleel Willis in that last fight. Unfortunately, his Koreshkov fight he had to pull out of in February. That would have been a really interesting fight to see, but seeing him against another really good striker here. Very good grappler, has good leg kicks, good distance control as well, but definitely much more of a grappler here. Most of his wins coming by way of armbar, but a few other submissions. Got that guillotine choke in the last one. It's been a little inactive. That's been the issue. 2017 had 2 fights, looked really good, was on a roll there. Then had a long break, then 1 fight in 2019, and then 1 fight in 2021 in October. Since then, has been off, had trouble staying healthy. Lorenz Larkin, 24-7, the Monsoon. We know him, we love him. He's been around a long time, and he's on a nice, tidy win streak here. 6 straight wins coming into this one, finishing Kyle Stewart brutally in that last fight in the first round. Looked really good. It was at middleweight. It was after 2 pullouts, Musayev and Anthony Adams. So props to him for still being able to, stay focused, get the win there. Split over Carvalho in the last one. He's been a little more active than his opponent. Faced a much better level of competition overall. Not winning as impressively, but still putting together a lot of decisions. The Kyle Stewart fight was very, very, generous. And now I think we're in a very interesting fight with Ahmed Magomedov, but I just think that Magomedov is a little too good and seasoned at this point, and I think it's going to be a tough cut for Lorenz Larkin. He just isn't quite as dangerous as he once was, and I think in a technical striking bout with some grappling mixed in, Magomedov gets this one done. I love the price on Magomedov here at -135. Bet that straight. It's definitely some good value here for Magomedov, who does not often get that price. So a little surprise here. Will be interesting to see the condition of Lorenz coming into this one at 170, if it helps him or hurts him. Overall, I expect it to be a very good fight. So don't get me wrong, but should be an interesting one. Really looking forward to that one. Overall, the main card, I'm looking forward to the whole card, really. Next fight, this is, a little bit of a tough one here for Chris Gonzalez, I'll be honest. He's taking on Usman Nurmagomedov here. This is just another one of the Nurmagomedovs who seems to be hitting their stride now. 14-0 for the lightweight here, 24 years old. Both guys 5'11 here. Chris Gonzalez 7-1, 30 years old, turning 31 here soon. Got his first loss 2 fights ago against Goichi Yamauchi. Got knocked out, pretty dominated in that one, round 1. Didn't look great. Came back against Saeed Awad and hit him with a head kick and knocked him out. So Chris Gonzalez is head kicking folks in the first round now after, for the most part, he had got the submission from the strikes against Huerta, but a lot of decisions on his record against good level of competition throughout, of course, but, still mostly a decision guy, mostly looks to go to his grappling here. And I just think he's going to struggle to get to his grappling against Usman Nurmagomedov. But the 14-0 fighter is also got quite good knees, good punches. He's a good striker, and he can grapple. Not facing a crazy level of competition yet in Bellator, though. That is what I'll say. In Bellator, I rate the competition that Chris Gonzalez has faced much better than Usman's. But Usman is just another level here. It's just, I feel, a matter of time until he gets to those level of guys. He's putting away the guys like Manny Muro, Patrick Pietila in his last fight. I don't know why they made that fight at all. -2,500 favorite. Was that a catch weight here? So, yeah, this is a much more competitive fight for Usman. Chris can certainly play spoiler. To many, I don't think he can play spoiler here, though. Usman's a real deal. I think the striking is going to be too much. I don't think that Chris is going to be able to wrestle, which I do think he'll have to do in this fight to have a chance. -600 on Usman. It is what it is. Plus 425 on Gonzalez. I can understand if you are tempted to take a shot at that. I really can. I respect Chris Gonzalez and the level of competition he's faced, but this is the Usman show, and we're all just part of it. So should be a win, and we should see a steady incline in competition for Usman from here on out. This is the new co-main event after some injuries and everything at 155 pounds. Sydney Outlaw taking on Toffee Musayev here. Toffee, very, very impressive guy of Azerbaijan. 32 years old now, 5'10", more compact, powerful striker, 19-4. Faced a good level of competition as well. We'll go through it. Actually, coming off a loss last June to Roberto de Souza, supposed to face Zach Zane in Bellator. Zach Zane pulled out, so he was out of this fight, and then was going to face Adam Piccolotti. They moved him to the main event or co-main event against Cindy Outlaw after Cindy's opponent Patricky Pitbull had to withdraw, who he has a win over in Toffee Musayev. Knocked out Johnny Case really cleanly in that first round. Damian Brown's the two former UFC fighters he knocked out. Darren Cruikshank he beat very handily. He likes to go in there and just kind of plant and throw down. Has been overseas his whole career. This is his U.S. debut. Cindy Outlaw, a vet here, 16-4. He's a very, very tricky guy as well, 30 years old, out of Henzo Gracie, Pennsylvania. Last fought in June of last year, getting the win there over Miles Jury. Finished him in the third round. Very impressive. Had a split over Adam Piccolotti. No shame there. Lost his second fight in Bellator to Michael Chandler on very short notice off of a fight, after beating Roger Huerta. Got knocked out in the first round, unfortunately. But he's bounced back well. Good grappler for the most part. He's strong. He's very physical. His striking, not always the strong point here. So for me, it's the takedown defense of Toffee versus the takedown offense of Cindy. Because if Cindy can't get this to the ground, I do think Toffee finishes him. But I do see Cindy having a really realistic chance of being able to take him down and keep him there. He has good positional control. He's been the more active fighter as well. He's fought in the States before. Cindy Outlaw could very well get the upset here. And I am going to edge with Cindy Outlaw. I like that he, is going to implement the jiu-jitsu. His striking is good enough to get him there. And I think as the fight goes on, Toffee is going to wear down a little more. But if Toffee gets a hold of him early, gets the pressure on early, this could be a very short night for Sydney, similar to the Michael Chandler fight. But I'm going to edge with the underdog here in Cindy Outlaw, currently a plus 130. I like him to use the jits, use the wrestling, use his physical strength here, and just uses his Bellator experience. Being the first fight for Toffee in the States is not something I think to be ignored here. Moving up to the co-main event after originally not being there for both guys will be interesting. But Cindy Outlaw was already there against Patricky Pitbull. So Toffee is the one moving up here, coming off of a loss in his last fight. So a lot of X factors. It's been a while. I'm going to edge towards Cindy Outlaw to get the upset. Next fight here is the main event. Thank you guys all for joining me. I apologize for being a solo show and a little bit quicker, but I am so very, very happy to provide the information I can here. Douglas Lima taking on Jason Jackson here, number 3 and 4 at welterweight. Trying to figure out maybe who's potentially next in line here. 31 versus 34, Jason Jackson, the ass-kicking machine, being a 31-year-old out of Miami, Florida. Hard Knocks 365, Stanford MMA, as well as Kill Cliff FC for his representation. Last fought in June of last year. 6'1", 78.5-inch reach here, getting the win over Paul Daly by decision. Paul Daly still has it in him. In fact, the last 5 wins have all been by decision for Jason Jackson, but he's won 5 straight since that split decision loss to Ed Ruth there back in October of 2019. So he's looked pretty steady as she goes, puts a good pace on his opponents, good leg kicks, good power, mixes it up well. Like, there's really just nothing to really dislike about Jason Jackson. He's doing everything right. Took away the strengths of Neiman Gracie really well. That fight was very impressive to me. Neiman was coming off a fight where he really implemented some very good striking and just could not get anything going against Jason Jackson. Jason Jackson really has hit his stride here. He's just not getting the finishes. So that's, the one criticism here, but he's a decision machine. He now has 2 more rounds here in this fight. This will be his first 5-round fight ever. And so that's something I think that definitely should not be looked away from for Jason Jackson. Had that unfortunate arm injury back on the Contender Series, but it did allow him to really implement and develop his game well. Douglas Lima, all Douglas Lima does is 5-round fights. So that's the big worry here from Jason Jackson for me. But I think Jason Jackson should be able to pass that flying colors. 34-year-old Brazilian here in Douglas Lima. You got to love him. 4-inch reach disadvantage in this fight. Coming off 3 straight losses, but it's to Gegard Mousasi, Yaroslav Amosov, and a split loss to Michael Venom Page in London. And I appreciate it, Jong Lee. Always appreciate you stopping by, man. Good to see you. But yeah, I mean, it's the highest level of competition here, and I feel he did beat Michael Page in that last fight. And props, to Lima. He's implemented a full MMA game in that fight and other fights. The Rory McDonald fight was extremely impressive, and very good 5-round performance there back in October of last year. But his last 3 fights or 4 fights, I believe, have been 5 rounds. So I mean, this guy is constantly preparing for 5 rounds. I get he had those 2 losses, but he did look very sharp, especially against Michael Page. And I don't think that Jason Jackson, has faced the level of competition, obviously, that Lima has. But I don't think any of his his most impressive win to me was the Neiman Gracie fight. But Neiman did not come into that fight exactly with the best game plan. I have been impressed by Lima's game plans lately. And to me, Lima feels like he really can play spoiler in this one. The speed of Jason Jackson is a huge key for me. Can he mix it up and get Lima onto the ground here would be my other question, because if it's primarily a stand-up, we start to get very, very close here. Lima knows how to win 5-round decisions. This is Jason Jackson's first. Those are the things that make me nervous and keep me from overcommitting to this one. I do think that this line is about right, but I think it's a little bit too. I should say it's a little bit too leaning towards Jason Jackson, in my opinion. I think it should be closer to -140. We're at -185 for Jason Jackson. First 5-round fight going against a very experienced, back against the wall, counted out Douglas Lima, who's only lost to the best of the best in the Bellator middleweight and welterweight division here. And Jason Jackson, he's beating everybody in front of him. He's going to decisions. So very big respect there, and he's looking good. He's mixing it up well, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that against Lima. This is a tough one. One I've gone back and forth on. There's been a few on this card I've gone back and forth on, but the main event and co-main event are 2 I've definitely gone back and forth at. I'm not confident enough to bet either side here. I'll say that much. I think this is going to be a close fight. I am going to go with Jason Jackson to be able to at least take 3 of 5 rounds here and win that decision. I don't know how the judges will be in Washington, so buyer beware there. But yeah, that is the 12 fights here on the breakdown. I'm going to go through real quick and give my quick picks here, and then we're going to call it a day. Again, shout out to Lewis of Norton MMA. Hope that you're doing okay out there, buddy, if you're watching, or if you're not. We all appreciate you here, man. Sorry for your loss. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top here. Archie Colgan, obviously over Brian Nuru here, or not obviously, but for me, Archie takes it. Jaylen Bates, obviously, over Mark Coates. Roman Feraldo. Gadzi Rabanov, but I'm rooting for Bobby King. I will not lie. Ahmed versus Kevin Bohm. Interesting fight. I could definitely see Kevin playing spoiler. I'll go with Ahmed. Don't know the odds yet. Vanessa Porto versus Vida Ortega. I got Vanessa Porto. I don't agree with the number on the odds. Romero Cotton versus Dalton Rasta. I got Romero Cotton in a battle of wrestlers who are striking, and Romero being just a little better in the striking realm. But Dalton might be that good of a wrestler, and this might really prove it. So should be a good one there, but I'm going with the upset in Romero Cotton. Next, Davion Franklin versus Marcelo Gome. Back-to-back upsets here, as I got Marcelo Gome here, and I got Marcelo Gome to get the finish of that 5-0 Davion Franklin. Muhammad Berkhamov and Lorenz Larkin. I got Muhammad here in a good fight. Probably going to be a competitive decision. Usman Nurmagomedov versus Chris Gonzalez. I got Usman here. Cancels out the wrestling. Better striker. If anything, he's going to wrestle Chris down. Sydney Outlaw versus Toffee Musayev. I know Toffee has a good highlight reel. I know that he's exciting to watch, but I'm going with the upset in Sydney Outlaw. Control with the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu. Experience. Toffee's first fight in the States after a long period of inactivity as well, coming off of a loss. Sydney could even surprise with the sub here. But I like Sydney Outlaw with a big upset there. And then the main event, Douglas Lima versus Jason Jackson. I think this fight's going to be close. I think it goes to a decision. I think Jason Jackson takes 3 rounds. Therefore, I got Jason Jackson in that spot by decision. And that is going to do it for the Bellator breakdown show here. We got 2 fight cards on Friday. They're both on the channel now. I'll be adding the timestamps for this really quickly. But already got the Cage Warriors breakdown up. We start with the main card there because we were joined by Brad Wheeler, Cage Warriors record holder for most Cage Warriors appearances. So we had him for the main card with Lewis. Shout out to Lewis for getting that. So that's already on the channel with the Cage Warriors breakdown, Cage Warriors 141, I believe. And that's going to do it here for the Bellator 283 breakdown show. Timestamps are in the comments there with all the picks. Shout out to Lewis. Appreciate you. You're here in spirit still. Thank you to Herb Dean, Justin, Visceral, Zhong Li, Boston Comments, everybody else who stopped by, the double-digit viewers, everybody who's subscribed, everybody who's liked. It's meant a lot. Visceral, my unofficial co-host here, always here, a real one right there. Appreciate you. I'll see you guys on, I'm going to say Thursday for the UFC show. If something changes, I apologize. Life's crazy right now for us all, but please keep taking care of each other out there. More importantly, enjoy your time and enjoy the fights.